I read the original Hunger Games trilogy for the first time, and they were amazing. If you're interested in that, go check it out in my last video. But are the prequels better? We're going to be going over and reviewing the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes and Sunrise on the Reaping today. I've already gotten into the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I'm about 125 pages in, chapter 9, and so far, I'm loving it. I'm actually more interested in this book than I was almost any of the originals. I'm really loving seeing how the games developed, how they started, and how many of the ways of the game developed, like sponsorships, the performance that the tributes have to put on. I'm loving seeing how all that's playing out. I'm also very curious on the Tigresses and Snow's relationship because you find out at the start of this book that they're cousins. But in Mockingjay, Tigress just wants Snow dead. You don't know about how they're related or why. You just know Tigress has something against Snow. So I really am curious on how that plays out. Lucy Gray Baird is a standout in this book so far. I'm loving her character, her personality. It's just, she's very captivating. So I really can't wait to see where this goes and see how Snow develops into the character that he is in the original trilogy. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get back into this one. Okay, guys, so we are about halfway through the book, a little over halfway through the book right now, 302 pages in, and I'm still really enjoying it. I will say that I stated earlier that I was enjoying it more than any other books in the original trilogy. I think at this point, though, not quite as much. It's just still fairly slow, but it's still really good. I'm finding it very interesting. Dr. Ghoul, Ghoul. Sorry, I don't know how you say that. We'll go with Ghoul. I'm loving her character, the evil mentor thing and whatnot, how she's affecting Snow. I find the fact that she's making Snow write essays and put them into the arena, trying to sway him into like her point of view of the world, very cool. And I really like the fact that they're going into the idea that Snow loves being in control because of the war and everything that he went through as a child. He finds that he needs to be in control, and that really goes back to the original series. Because in the original series, he is in control. He's in control of the capital, the games, the districts, until, of course, the ending. I think the biggest standout in this half of the book, though, or what I've read so far, has been the boy from District 2 that lives in the capital. I don't know how to say his name, Senjez or something. But, like, when does he die? Like, honestly. You can't have a character that is that upstanding with that much power and money in the future. You can't have him in the capital. So he has to die at some point or else he'd eventually make a difference. So I wonder if Snow will eventually be involved in his death, seeing him as a threat or not. I'm still really interested in the whole Tigress plot because Tigress and Snow's relationship is still being built upon. They're still really close, but knowing where that ends, I can't wait to see where that goes. This might be like a wrong idea or something, but I love the idea of Dr. Ghoul being like the theoretical devil on Snow's shoulder, and then Sanjez being like the theoretical angel on his other shoulder. Because one, Dr. Ghoul is guiding him down the wrong path. She's guiding him towards a path of evil and everything. A path of control, keeping the capital on top of the districts, and cruelty. But Sanjez is such a kind person, and since he's grown closer to Sanjez throughout this book, it's really affected how Snow's thought process goes. So he's kind of like the angel on Snow's shoulder. I also feel like I know Lucy's going to die at some point in these books. I know it's going to happen. But I wonder if Snow has something to do with that. Because if Snow gets to the point where he has to be in control, I wonder if he'll kill Lucy or be involved in her death. I wonder if that also leads into him and what he does to Tigress to make her hate him so much. Because Tigress and Lucy connects to a more human side of him. And of course, in the main trilogy in the future, he's going to be a cruel president, a cruel leader that does everything for the best interest of himself and the capital. I'm also loving the diverse cast. You have all these different mentors mentoring different tributes from the Hunger Games. But I'm loving seeing how different their point of views are about the games, about the humanity of it all. Because we have some characters that are like, what are we doing? This is wrong. This is evil. Then you have some that are just hateful and spiteful towards the districts and their children. And it's just, I love the fact that we have a diverse group of opinions expressed in this book. I also think it's neat that we're seeing how further the Hunger Games are being developed through the first trap put into the Hunger Games by the game makers, kind of being the snakes dropped in the arena. Because that's the first time that game makers have interfered in the middle of the Hunger Games. I think it's very neat seeing how that develops into what the games are going to be in the future in the original trilogy. I'm also loving the slow realization Snow's having that he's more into Lucy than just a friend or just a mentor. He's slowly realizing his feelings, which is connecting him more to his human side, which is another reason I feel like he has to be involved in her death some way for him to become the character that he's going to be one day. But yeah, that's about it for this half of the book. Can't wait to see how it picks up for the rest, what's going to happen. And yeah, I guess I'll see y'all when we're finished. Wow. Okay, wow, guys. Suzanne Collins has done it again. This book was amazing, phenomenal. She is 4 for 4 right now, and it's absolutely insane. Now, saying that, I do have a few qualms with this book, mainly in the ending scene with Snow and Lucy in the woods. I do find that we weren't given enough context from Lucy's side, which we could have done since we're in third person this whole story. I was a bit lost and confused as far as Lucy's concerned about why she would be doing certain things, like running from Snow. But that's my main problem with the ending. It's just that scene. I really liked it, but I wish we would have had more context from Lucy's side. The Suzanne Collins have a refusal for a happy ending. In the original trilogy, it has a ending that's I wouldn't call happy. It's not like some storybook ending where everything's okay, everyone's happy. Yes, Katniss and Peeta live, Haymitch lives, they have kids and everything, but they're still living with their trauma and dealing with all this throughout in the future. And then we have this book where, well, let's just say that was clearly not a happy ending. But I love the realism of all of it. Another small qualm I had and statement on had was I felt that Snow and Lucy had fallen too fast. But of course, once you get to the end, I realized Snow really never fell for Lucy. He fell for the concept of her. Because if he had really fallen for Lucy, he wouldn't have done what he did. But he just loved the concept of her. Once he realized that that meant he wouldn't be in control, he didn't care anymore. Also love the fact that Mockingjays and Snow hated them on sight. He hated Mockingjays immediately, as soon as he saw them, because to him they represent the capital not being in control. Jabberjays were created by the capital, but they lost control of them. They didn't work, and they were sent to nature. and they mated with mockingbirds to have mockingjays. And that just shows that the capital doesn't have control of everything. And that's why Snow hates them so much, which I really loved. I also loved Lucy's valuing trust more than love, because she says she loves snakes but doesn't trust them, which I really like because Snow is always referred to as a snake. And she says she trusts him, but by the end of the story, we know she doesn't. We know that that doesn't quite work out. So she might have loved him, but couldn't trust him, like she'd mentioned before with snakes. Sinjanus's death was really hit me. I love the fact that Snow was involved in both those deaths. Those were on him. I kind of mentioned earlier that he'd have to be involved in some way, kind of killing off his human side, which I might have been slightly wrong about, just the whole human side thing. But I still liked the fact that he had to be involved in their deaths. He had something to do with it. He was the cause of them, their deaths, since we don't know what really happened to Lucy Gray. And I also found it interesting that after going into the water, the lake, to get rid of the murder weapons, the only thing that survived with Snow was his father's compass, because throughout the book he says he wasn't that close with his father and he really didn't look up to him. He was kind of a cruel man in a way. He was really closer to his mother and everything. But the only thing to survive wasn't his mother's powder that he used to comfort himself or anything. It was his father's compass, which shows that he's grown more into that cruel, powerful man role. And he's pretty much left behind his childhood, who he was, or like the decency he had left in him. I forgot about one more qualm I had, which maybe it gets addressed in the next book. I need to know what happens with Tigress and Snow. I know they have a fallout because of Mockingjay. We know she wants him dead. But as far as this book's concerned, their relationship's just fine. So I don't know if that gets addressed more in Sunrise on the Reaping or maybe the next book she releases. But I really hope we get to see where that actually goes. I love where Suzanne Collins took this book as far as Snow and who he is, because I expected her to write it to where Snow was morally gray, or like he had some tragic backstory for why he is who he is. But no, that's not what it was. Snow had choices to make in this book. Snow had the opportunity to be a good person at several turns. And again, he chooses not to. He makes his decisions. What he becomes in the original trilogy is of his own. He was the villain all along, and Suzanne Collins doesn't try to hide that with some tragic backstory or anything, which is probably one of my favorite aspects about this book. As far as why I rate this book, I'd probably say a 4.5. I think I liked it about the same as Catching Fire, but not as much as the original Hunger Games, the first one. But I did like it a bit more than Mockingjay. Just because Mockingjay kind of had that slow start that I really didn't like that much. I knew why it was necessary and all, but that first half of Mockingjay didn't entertain me that much. I felt much more entertained and involved in this story throughout. Yeah, I'd probably rate this about the same as Catching Fire. I enjoyed them about the same. So this is definitely probably 4.5 stars. But that's still really good and does not discredit how much I love this book and the original trilogy, especially Mockingjay. I still loved it. It was still a really good book. I think this one just takes the edge a little bit. But if I liked this book that much, I can't wait to get into this one. Sunrise on the Reaping. The book everyone talks about being the best book out of all four of these previous ones, which is insane with the quality that these other ones have been at. But just some of people's favorite book of all time. It's how good this book's supposed to be. So that has me really excited. But yeah, I really can't wait to see what goes on with Haymitch's story and everything. Hopefully we get some more information on Snow, a bit more of his background, especially with Tigress. I'm hoping that's brought up somehow in this, about why they might have had a fallout. But yeah, guys, can't wait. So let's go ahead and get right into this. Okay, everybody, we are back. It's been like a week, a little less than a week actually, since I finished this book. And I never made a halfway like update video. I've just been really busy with school and like playoffs, but I really enjoyed this book. I loved it. I loved the characters, Haymitch, and seeing how they develop into who they are later on. I love the trauma that we get from this. Like very traumatic seeing Haymitch like grow up and his experience in the games and how why he is the way he is now. I love seeing some of the reasons like parallels to the things from the original trilogy in this book, especially with like Katniss and all these people he sees in Katniss and Peeta and all and whatnot. This book was so sad. I mean, I don't even know how to explain it really. You have to read it yourself. I don't really want to spoil it, especially with the movie coming out soon. But it was sad, gut wrenching. Probably the saddest book in the series. That can be based off of personal opinion, of course. But I'd say overall, whichever book had the most traumatic stuff in it was probably this one. I mean, Mockingjay was pretty sad, but this one was just amazing. Um, I'd probably rank it hot take. I don't know if I'd rank it above the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I think I rank it right below Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes with like a 4.5 star. Um, my current ranking for the whole series goes The Hunger Games at 1, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes at 2, Sunrise and the Reaping at 3, Catching Fire at 4, and then Mockingjay at 5. But that's hard. That's a hard ranking to do because I just enjoyed all the books so much. It's honestly probably one of the best series ever created. Suzanne Collins is so consistent with her quality of books, which I've heard that she said she's not going to write another book just to write one. She's only going to write one when she has something to say or something to comment about, especially on like war. I think she mentioned before, which I love because some of these authors are like, and not to diss like James Dashner, I love his books, but I felt like when he wrote the prequels to the Maze Runner books, they were good. They added and built on the world some. But I just felt like they were a bit of a cash grab, you know? Especially the last one that's just about Thomas and them as kids. And he's writing a new series right now that's like a little less than 100 years in the future about the new generation, which I haven't read those, but I'm sure they're good. I mean, I like his books. I just feel like his quality in sequels and prequels aren't as high as what Suzanne Collins is doing, but I really enjoyed this book. Probably a 4.5 stars. I kind of forgot what I rated The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, like a 4.75, probably. I don't remember. I'll have to double check that. But I'd rank this like right below it. They're all really good. All the books they compete with each other very well. Those top three, Hunger Games, Ballad, and then this Sunrise on the Reaping, I have a lot of trouble ranking those three. The other two are a bit more clear cut for me as their ranking, but it just shows the quality that Suzanne Collins has in her writing. But thank you guys for watching, and I hope you stick around. Maybe go check out some of my other videos. Bye.